Alright, just so everyone knows, since we're using guns today, the pistols are empty. They've been checked. There's no rounds in the chambers. Aim down, point, make sure they're clear. But the two weapons I'm going to be using in the video today have been checked. There's no bullets in there. And there's no ammunition in the room that I'm working in. Alright, so today's video is going to be on the Alien Gear holster mount. I'm going to be putting this in my work vehicle. Basically, I either carry this Glock 23 or Glock 43, depending on where I'm going to go that day. Since I holster my weapon, I conceal carry all the time. Basically, when I get in the vehicle, sometimes it's not necessarily comfortable to carry a 40 caliber on your side. But it's also a pain in the butt to do like a magnetic or something because I want to take the holster off also. So this Alien Gear will let me mount this up under the dash somewhere. I can slide the entire holster into it and I don't have to worry about dropping it in the dash or in the glove box or somewhere. Alright, so this is my Ram ProMaster City. Like I said, this is my work vehicle. The 43X actually fits, actually it's a 43. I've got a 43X also, but I carry the 43. This cup holder back here, that fits perfect in there. It doesn't fall out, doesn't go anywhere. The problem is my Glock 23 will definitely not fit in there. You can also put it in this front one, but it has a little more tendency to fall out. So it does fit, but not as well. So as you can see, the Glock 23, normally I just leave it in there. It's not going to fall out, but it's not really secure. It flops around, slides back and forth. So what I need to do is I need to find a comfortable place to mount this, someplace I can get to it. For some people, it actually would work good because I never have a passenger with me on this side, but again, it's pretty exposed. I don't know, I want to put it on the side of this. It's too close on the driver's side. It'd be rubbing my leg all the time. It would just be inconvenient for me. So I'm going to go here with it or up underneath here. And now I never have a passenger with me, so passenger side doesn't bother me as much. I think this is going to be more convenient. The question is what's behind this panel here. I've had this panel off personally, so I know what's behind it. There's nothing back there unless you go more than like 2 inches deep, 3 inches deep, you're going to hit something. But I'm still going to pull the panel off if I mount it there, just so I can mount it to the panel and then replace the panel. The other option, of course, would be inside the door. Again, I don't know that I want it inside of my door. That's going to be inconvenient to try to slide it down in there and lock it in place. Plus, I'm not left-handed. It would be harder to draw. I've also got up here I can mount it. Again, I'm cross-handed. I would have a hard time drawing it. So underneath in the middle, to me, is the best spot for this vehicle for me. Now, another thing to consider when you're mounting a mount or anything else on your vehicle, first of all, this is a work vehicle. I care about it, but I don't care about it. If I have some holes in this panel down here when I sell it or trade it in, no one's ever going to see it, and if they do, I don't care if they do. If you have a more expensive vehicle or you're just not sure about where to mount it, price this piece out. This little dash piece, I'm going to show you how to take it off if you need me to. You can skip forward through that part if you don't want to see that. But price this piece out. So whatever you're drilling in, if it's a piece of plastic, price it out online and go, okay, well, that's 50 bucks or 100 bucks. All right, so the first thing we want to do is pull off the fuse panel cover. I just pull straight out, you hook your fingers under the bottom, pull straight out. Now on the right hand side, there's a little plastic insert there. There's actually a screw behind that. There's a screw there and a screw there that we need to take out. Okay, so to get this off, you'll need a little flathead screwdriver or a really sharp fingernail. You don't want to scruff up your paint. You can use a body tool if you need to, but that should pop out pretty easy. I'm just inserting that in there and pull it down. That'll expose the screw. That's a T25 Torx head. Same with these three. So I'm going to remove the 3 screws. Let's put that camera in there. So before we pop the panel off, we want to take this out. Just push in on the tab on the side. You'll see them. They're pretty easy to see. Hard to get without getting your fingers in the camera. And then that just pushes back through. Then after that, they're just pop tabs. So basically, you want to get your finger in there somewhere. Pull straight back towards you. Work your way around. Again, pulling straight back. It's easier with 2 hands, not camera in 1 hand, but and your cover's off. As you can see behind here where my rubber tab is, or my rubber tab. So as you can see behind there where that is, if I lift this back up in place, let's go get the light down there. I've got a good bit of room behind that before I actually get to this part right here. So I don't want to hit that with a screw. I want to make sure I mount my holster holder right in here, and then I'll go back in and make sure the screws fit. So I'm going to use the toggle bolts that come with it, put them through here, mount it to this, and I'm going to cut the excess bolt head off. That way it's not hitting anything back there. And we'll put it up here and see how it looks. Okay, so I've got my alien gear holster holder. I want to put it right about there. I don't want it hanging down past here too far. Don't want it up in the rubber piece. So I've got to keep it far enough under the wheel. So I went ahead and kind of eyeballed it when I had it up underneath there so I know about where I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and put my ears on it first. I'm just going to guesstimate how deep it needs to be because I can change it. And then I'm going to mark the spots on here so I can drill my holes in it. And again, I'm going to use the toggles that came with it just to give me a better grip because I use a big heavy gun. The little screws may work if you were using like a Glock 43, something lighter. But in my case, again, I'm using something heavy, so I want it to actually grab and pull tight in the back. All right, so what I did for this side, I can tighten it up enough that would hold, but I've got a bunch of stuff laying around because I do a little bit of everything. I've got an automotive tab. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the automotive tab on the inside here and just screw it down the other side. I took a pair of 10 snips and just snipped off the other piece so it wouldn't. So with a slight modification, I've got that piece in there. I'll take a grinder or something, knock that piece down a little bit. That way it's not pointed. I don't think the gun will hit it anyhow, but I don't want a jagged piece sitting there and get my finger in there or something, cut it off. I wouldn't cut it off, but you know what I mean. So anyhow, after a little minor fix there, now I can put this on here. I can line up basically where I want to put it at. I can mark my tabs down below. I'll just use the drill bit. Reach down through there, mark the plastic. Once I get the plastic marked, I'll go back, drill the holes through here, and then mount the toggle bolts. Now, depending on how well you like your vehicle, you can actually measure these off if you want to. I'm just going to eyeball them. Again, once I get to where I want it at, I'm just taking my drill bit. I'm just going to hand turn it a few times. You can use a long pencil, pen. I'm only going to mark 2 of them. Once I get these 2 drilled, then I'll be able to go back in and drill the other 2. So I've just made 2 little tiny marks on my plastic here. And again, double check the inside, make sure you're clear. Like mine's got this metal bar running through here. I don't want to hit the metal bar. My plastic should pop through right about here and here. Straight through. Straight through. Clean up the hole a little bit. And there's 2 of the 4 holes. So I'm going to do 11/64 here. Pop those holes back out a little bit deeper and a little bit bigger. Again, back on the back, you could double check. Again, if I didn't put these where I wanted them, I still got room to move them up or down a little bit if I got one side lower than the other, but they're right where I wanted them at. So let's go ahead and start these. Drop that through there, that through. And just have a camera angle here. That one's a little snug still, but there it goes. All right, as you can see on the inside, my bolts are way too long, but I'm going to cut these off once I get them where I want them at. So I'm taking the toggle. Just going to start it. Normally you would fold this in, shove it through the hole, and then reclamp it and pull it tight, but again, I'm just using it for a little bit different, but it's going to work. This might be strike 4 because it doesn't want to thread in there good. Yeah, I'm going to be up to like 15 strikes by the time I get done with this thing. First impressions, very good. Second impressions, not so good. So hopefully when I get this mounted finally, it works out fine. So basically I'm just running my screw in. And line the toggle up to where it's Going to catch in that plastic in the back. And it snugs up. I'm going to do the other side. So once I get that tightened up again, I'm just going to shear this right off. Alright, so with the 2 screws in there, this is actually tight enough that it will probably hold a gun. You might not have to put the other 2 screws in if you didn't want to. I'll probably put them in there anyhow, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this back, I'm going to pop it up under the dashboard, test it in place before I put my other bolts in. But again, I'm going to cut these off first. Alright, so there's all 4 bolts. Again, I used the toggles in mine. You don't have to, you could just run your screws into here. Again, depending on how big a gun it is, how heavy the gun is, how forceful you are. I'm pretty brutal when it comes to, I just want to be able to pop my gun in there and not worry about it breaking off there. The panel's going to break before the gun holster breaks off there, basically. Let's get it mounted back in there, get it screwed back down, then I'll pop the gun in there. I'll put the camera under there, put a light on so you can actually see what it looks like when it's in place. There's one more thing I want to do before I actually mount it in there. When I drop my gun down in here, I've still got a lot of play in between here and there. So I'm going to actually drop my holster holder down to the bottom level. This again is made for, I guess, probably basically just a universal mount. The other thing about this holster is, if you want to draw your weapon, you can pull straight back and draw the weapon, or you can actually lift the clip and pull your gun off there. So you can actually draw from this, or you can get your gun off there, either one. Alright, putting the panel back on is just about as easy. Basically, we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tabs up we're going to pop in. They fit in these places right here. Toughest one's this top little corner up here. You've got to kind of fit that up and in first, because that's just kind of what makes the trim piece better. So I'm going to start in that top corner, hook it first, and then just push the other pieces in place. And just set the camera on the seat. Hopefully it picks this up. If not, I'll edit this part out. So basically, top corner first. Just going to kind of go up and in. Trying to keep my head out of the camera here. Once I get that hooked, then my other pieces just pop in. So we'll start with this top corner first. Try to keep my head out of the camera angle there. Pop that in first, and then the rest of them should just pop in place. And again, just work your way around. You shouldn't have to push really hard. Shouldn't have to break your nose either. Next, we'll start in this top corner. This is easier to do if you're not trying to keep out the camera. Alright, starting up top here. Just going to kind of line everything up. And again, try not to get my head in the way. Once I get that piece in, just going to pop the other ones in place. Like so, just work your way around until they all snap in. The next thing I want to do down here, I'm going to put my computer port back in. Don't forget it. It just fits up in. Just reach through the fuse holder, fuse hole, and it should just pop right back in place. We got screw, 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 and then we'll pop the fuse cover back on. Alright, so the last thing I want to do is pop on the fuse cover holder. Kind of slide the tabs up and in, like so, and then just push the bottom. So that's all there is to putting that back in place. Again, the hardest part's that top right corner, but if you're sitting in the vehicle, much easier. Alright, so I haven't done this yet, so this is the first time. Now again, I had to pick the place based on where it would fit in the vehicle for me. It was either the right hand side of that, which would have been easier for me to grab. This is actually going to be backhanded for the way I would draw, but I can reach across from my hand, and again, if you pull straight back, gun comes up out of the holster. If you pull up on the clip, gun comes off of the clip. from the vehicle. As you can see, it's down there, clear of my feet. I need to, if I can get an angle, I can reach under, draw my weapon, leaving the holster in place, or reach down, grab the bottom of the holster, and pull the whole gun out in the holster. I would have liked to have gone down a little bit further, but as you saw on the back of that, there's a metal bar back there. So that's as far as I can go, but it works for now. I may end up putting it over here on the right hand side just because I can reach down and grab it from the right, and I never have a passenger with me hardly, so it may end up there. But for right now, I'm going to leave it there for a week or two, and I'll probably do an update just to let you know how it works out. My Glock 43 fits in there much easier. This would be a little harder to draw because it's a smaller weapon, so you can't really get your hand on it really good. So I would definitely mount this different if I was going to carry this, but since the world is the way it is, I carry my big gun with me most of the time. But again, at least for storage while you're driving, that fits in there perfect. Not going to go anywhere. Overall, Alien Gear gets about a 3-star out of 10. It does its job once you get it mounted, but what a pain in the butt it was to mount it. Again, I could have just taken the screws, shot it right in, been done with it. It may have stayed there, but the way I got it there now, it's not going to go anywhere. If I hit it with my big feet or something getting out or getting in, it's not going to move.